President of Shikshayatan Foundation, Board of Governors, Honorable Trustees, and Core Committee members of CBS. And we are honored to have the kind presence of Mrs. Brasati Bhattacharya, Secretary General and CEO of Shikshayatan Foundation. Our panelists for today are Professor Arnav Kumar Laha, Professor, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and Mr. Saurabh Kanti Das, lead Risk Analysis and Grading, ICRA Analytics Limited. Also joining this meet today are the faculty members and students of Calcutta Business School. Calcutta Business School is a residential institute, keeping in mind the need for management education in Eastern India and being an autonomous institution. It offers AICTE approved PGDM courses designed as per the latest industry needs by an expert team of faculty and advisors comprising of both renowned academicians and industry leaders, and has recently introduced a BBA in Business Analytics course in collaboration with Macau. And representing Calcutta Business School today as moderator is Professor Sanjeev Biswas, Assistant Professor, Calcutta Business School. This event is being live streamed on Facebook for our viewers. I now request Brasati ma'am to please welcome our guests and set the tone for the day.
Thank you, Madhusri. A very good evening to everyone. My greetings from Shikshayatan Foundation, the apex body of Calcutta Business School. Shikshayatan Foundation, as many of you know, is a 102-year-old institute, and it has 4 units: Marwari Balika Vidyalaya, Sri Shikshayatan School, Sri Shikshayatan College, and Calcutta Business School. I'd like to welcome for this very, very informative session to Mr. Ghosh, Professor Laha, Mr. Das, Dr. Bhattacharya, Professor Biswas, our moderator, members of the faculty, all other colleagues, and all the viewers. As already Madhusri has pointed out, that Calcutta Business School is a self-styled autonomous body which is approved by AICTE, which means that we design our courses and our curriculum based on industry requirement, industry relevance. And we constantly upgrade them as per the requirement, and so that our students become employable with skills. Hence, we have been able to come up with this particular topic of business analytics, where we would be discussing certain very, very important aspects. In fact, we have introduced business analytics as also a specialization. A specialization not only for our postgraduate management course, but we have also introduced this as part of our BBA course, which we have introduced in collaboration with Macau. Business analytics, as you know, is very, very important in today's world. A world which usually people characterize as a VUCA world, which is volatile, but we say at Calcutta Business School that it is not volatile. Something which we can have a vision and we can have a value for it. It says, uncertainty. We say not uncertainty always. We understand our people. Complexity. When we see complexity, we go in for critical thinking and collaboration. And when we see ambiguity, we look at it as a approach, adaptation. So this world around us, as we know, is changing. And I think change is a constant factor. Rapidly, so that in every aspect, whether it is economical, social, political, everywhere, which ultimately impacts on all the businesses. Therefore, we are conducting this session, and we have conducted many sessions. We have picked up topics, which are relevant to give a better understanding of the absolute indispensable need of how business analytics may be used in every vital situation, in every organization. As you know that today data is everything. How do we utilize it in the best way? The decisions may be related to product itself, human resource, company practices, marketing, top management, logistics, financial, everywhere. Every department needs certain accurate decisions to be made. That is what business analytics is all about. And I'm sure our panelists for the day who've taken out time for us, and I thank you so much for doing that, is going to give us all that clarity to this domain and make all of you understand in a very, very lucid way so that you may also apply the same in your day-to-day life. Thank you once again, and thanks to all the panelists for agreeing to be with us today. Welcome once again. Thank you. Over to you, Madhusri.
Thank you, ma'am. So may I now introduce our panelists for the day. Our first panelist is Mr. Saurav Kanti Das. Mr. Das currently leads data analytics and statistical modeling and project management in risk management and grading verticals at ICRA Analytics Limited. He has worked in multiple risk management assignments, including risk modeling, scorecard building, and credit risk model validation projects for global and domestic clients for the last 18 years. He has worked across multiple modeling projects in the area of structured finance. The last 10 years has seen his involvement in developing customized analytics solutions for enterprise risk management, vertical and BFSI clients. Welcome to this session, sir.
Thank you, Madhusri, for such lovely introduction, and definitely I'll try to put some values because I have whatever I have observed, I have experienced for the last 18 years or 19 years. I have worked in both global and with the domestic customers. So I'll try to put that. So please let me know whether I can flash my screen or share my screen with a small presentation.
We
or
will be
maybe
starting very soon, sir.
Madhusri, we have a process like, should I set the tone of the thing, but I mean, beginning note?
Yes, sir. Actually, I was just going to say, so we, as our moderator is Sonjit Biswas, sir, he will be taking the session ahead. Once Laha sir joins, I'll be introducing him. Please go ahead.
So thank you, Madhusri. Thank you, respected panelist, Mr. Das. It was really a nice talking to you yesterday evening. Very nice talking to you. And also we are expecting shortly Professor Laha will be joining us. So today what we are going to discuss about, or rather we are going to listen to the experts, a very contemporary and very important topic called business analytics, a career prospect in corporate decisions. I would just start taking clue from what ma'am has said, that the redefining the VUCA world. So ma'am said that V is standing for vision. I just add one word, value. I mean, in what way we can utilize our operations, our mechanisms to add value to your personal life, to add value to your business world, business decisions. Second is he said that ambiguity is replaced by the approach. It is correctly that how we are approaching. We are approaching scientifically, we are approaching holistically. That is so most important to deliver the value. And then the U is the uncertainty. It's basically, I mean, in that case, we can say that it is the unambiguous, I can say the unambiguous approach, or I approach holistically to solve the problem. And finally, A is the, I mean, ambition, or how I utilize the mechanism. So where here stands the VUCA world, very relevant to what we call business analytics. Just a small figure that IDC Data Age predicted by 2025, it would be around 175 zettabytes amount of data that would be consumed and generated every moment, and which would be a source of strategic information for the organizations. I am sure that it has all crossed. I will just state that in my understanding, the business analytics stands on, it's not a new thing, although there is a buzz in the market and it is quite famous today. But business analytics stands on history, and it stands on 4 areas. One is the development in the computation. Second is the generation of the data. Third is the development of the algorithm. And fourth is the tools that help us to analyze the data. So if you look at the developments in the field of computation, it started way back when Mr. Charles Babbage actually set the tone for developing computation or computers. And there's a very famous development took place in the year of 1950. There is a Turing machines. In terms of Turing machine, and still such time development has taken place, and slowly we observed in 1970s ARPANET. Then in 1980s, the quantum computing started the journey, and eventually in 2019, Google claimed that it has generated a computer based on quantum computing. And also, in meanwhile, Cisco 2012, they generated with more IoT-based cloud computing structure. Now, if you look at the algorithm part, it also started way back in 1943 when artificial neuron was first introduced in the market. Then slowly we observed the birth of modern artificial intelligence in the year of 1956 at Dartmouth College. Then 1980 saw the evolution of expert systems, and we all know the famous IBM Watson introduced in the market in 2011. So slowly, these artificial intelligence based machine learning algorithms, which is a branch of artificial intelligence that got importance from the researchers and the practitioners. And eventually, we starting from 1949, machine learning has evolved. And today what we are witnessing is the extensive utilization of machine learning and also the deep learning. But the question is, these algorithms were developed and have been developed, getting developed based on the availability of data, which all started with the invent of Web 2.0. I mean, this after this Web 2.0, actually this internet and communication technology took a major leap towards today's developed version. And 2011, when Industry 4.0 started in the market, and now we are moving towards Society 5.0. So we are flooded with data, we are flooded with information, we are equipped with so much of high-end computation. Now the question is, how do I use this data to derive actionable insight for the business? And how do I utilize this technology for the development and progress of the mankind and humanity? And these days, softwares are so easily available. I can remember that when 2004 I joined academics, I was hardly known to the software called SPSS or SAS. Though it was SPSS started in 1968 and SAS started in 1970. Later on in 1980s, Python developed. Today, the Python is the most powerful language and most acceptable language to the analysts who are dealing with big data. And also R was introduced a little bit later in 1990s. So the question is, we all are flooded with data. We understand the algorithms are plenty in the market. Our tools are equipped us to handle with data. And we all know how high-end computation is available at our fingertip. But the question is, are we all educated as far as business analytics is concerned? Do we know what does it mean actually? And if business analytics, given its importance, how we can utilize or leverage the power of business analytics for our day-to-day life, as well as for making effective decisions for which the professionals are paid by the organizations. So in line with that, I am eager to listen to Mr. Das the following questions, though he will be presenting of his own. It is our fortune and privilege to listen to him. But I would be, on behalf of the listeners, I am curious to get views of Mr. Das on the following aspects. That we all know about business analytics, but what is actually business analytics? How does it help to take effective corporate decisions? And what are the kinds of job opportunities available in the marketplace in the business analytics domain? As the topic says, a career prospect in corporate decisions. And we are representing an B school, and we also represent a group which is known for its 102 years legacy in education industry, in education, imparting value-based education, starting from KG, ending up to PG. So how the schools and the business schools, postgraduate level, they work together to fulfill the need of analytics professionals in the marketplace. So these are the few starting questions that I have in my mind when I was starting to jot down the possible questions for today's webinar. I was thinking that how I should moderate this webinar. Frankly speaking, it is such a vast field and such an important field. I found it very difficult to frame the questions, but eventually I came up. So now I request Mr. Das to start his expert deliberation. And sir, you are the stage is yours now. So please educate us on business analytics.
Thank you, Professor Biswas, for setting the tone. It's really very helpful for me. And as we have discussed yesterday, though, I have tried to align my presentation per the need, because as I have been working in the industry and I'm facing the real challenges, so I'll just try to describe through certain examples of what exactly we're facing, how to mitigate that, and how a business school can help us to get the students be very ready before they get their job. So let me share my screen. I hope I can share my screen.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, so is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you. So first of all, what is a decision making? So as all of us, we know that we make decisions. I mean, if someone is a student or before making a foray into the corporate world, so all the kind of decisions that he or she is making, it's more of his individual, or it could be kind of his family decisions to some extent. And as all of us, we grow up and take a foray into the corporate world, it goes into organizational decision making. Say you have many options which are very close, very similar, and you would like to make some kind of decision, but that decision has to be very much informed decisions. And how to make an informed decision? That means that decision must be very meaningful. And when you belong to an organization, say I'm working in ICRA Analytics Limited, say for last almost 19 years, 18 plus years. And it's a kind of, it's the analytics wing and the consulting wing for ICRA Limited. ICRA Limited is a premier credit rating agency in India. So when I entered this particular organization, the kind of, or maybe whoever our clients are, their policies, their expectation, mission and vision, that becomes very critical in making any kind of decisions. So that's the kind of organizational decision making that we are going to discuss today, we are going to talk about. Now, I'll just slowly, touch base what is a programmed or non-programmed decisions, as this is very self-explanatory. So it's a kind of very structured decision or a repetitive kind of decision. Say what to buy on every Saturday on Sundays from vegetable market. It's a kind of, some kind of repetitive decision, because you know the trend, you know the pattern, what to buy and what is not there. You just check your refrigerator and go for that. It's a kind of repetitive decision. You know the data, and this particular trend is familiar to you. But in case of any unstructured decision, how would you progress? Say simple, a company that you are observing or monitoring its health, its financial health, and suddenly 3 or 4 of their business directors, they resign from the organization, and that comes as a web news. Say it's coming on ET, it's coming on any business newspapers on business web portal. So that's a kind of unstructured kind of news that you are getting, and you are going to make some kind of unstructured decision, which could be a kind of very impromptu kind of decision. So that's a non-programmed decisions, I would say. Then for an organization, it becomes a top-down or bottom-up approaches. Top-down means the senior management is taking a decision, and that is again disseminated to the middle management or the junior management for proper deployment or maybe kind of succession. So that's a top-down, and bottom-up is just the opposite. That is, the junior management is taking some decision, And then it is again, and for approval, etc., it goes on the up level, the chain. A decision making in an organization that could be very subjective or objective kind of decision. Say subjective means it's a kind of some qualitative decision that one is making, or objective, you have the data, you have the information, and you are making a decision which can be quantified or maybe backed up by the quantification. So this is a kind of very these are 4 or 5 pillars of the decision making to my organization or the kind of work that I am doing. So slowly moving, as I have been working as a project manager and the kind of leading the risk analytics and grading of ICRA Analytics Limited. So I would talk about the enterprise risk management. So most of our clients are banks and NBFCs. So how this enterprise risk management, what is it? What the kind of solutions or software that we're making? What is the role of analytics into that? And how a person, what is our expectation? Say if I try to hire someone from any analytics organization or simple hire or kind of job description, if that is there. So what is our expectation and how he or she could be prepared to be process ready in our language, our lingo. So I'll just talk about a little about the the domain of enterprise risk management. So it's basically the credit risk, operational risk, or the market risk or systemic risk. So for the credit risk, it's mostly the internal rating models, the credit risk rating models. Say if you approach a bank for a home loan, so all of the data, your IT data for say last 3 years, that is parsed, the entire data through a model or a software. That's a risk management scorecard or solution. And then you are given a loan or you are rejected to have a loan. Maybe even if you are applying for a top-up loan, you are an existing customer to a bank. Then again, all of your financial statements for last 3, 4, 5 years, that will be parsed to that particular software. And that is the credit risk model that we are building for many banks and NBFCs. It's a kind of early warning signal. Early warning signal is nothing. It's a kind of new concept into a domestic market. So say just the RBI has also introduced some kind of parameters which could be observed or monitored on daily basis. Say a simpler news which comes into a market, which could be a shocker, or it's a kind of macroeconomic change. So those kind of parameters, if you observe daily through a particular software or solution, that's very, very analytics driven. So that's a kind of solution or framework that we are also making. For operational risk, for a daily to transaction for a bank or an NBFC, even if say when a loan is given, to observe that loan, how it is performing, or any kind of operations which are bank's operation, what is the risk involved into that? Identify that risk and to mitigate the risk through the help of analytics and data. I'll come to that. Market risk is very simple. So it's a kind of liquidity risk or simply an interest rate change that comes as a macro factor. And that is obviously, it's a kind of contributing in a change of the expectation or the risk parameters for a banks or NBFCs. So it's a kind of credit risk, operational risk, and market risk or systemic risk that we call. And this entire suite of risk management framework that is monitored through a kind of solution or a kind of software. And analytics is used heavily, it's a business analytics, I would say, heavily to build them. Now, as Professor Biswas, you have talked about, or ma'am, she has also talked about the kind of job expectation or the kind of job stations, I would say. For enterprise risk management, in my stint with this particular domain, I have observed that if we divide the entire points into 3 parts, it comes as a consultants, financial institutions, and fintechs. They require the analytics personnel or the kind of analyst to build the kind of solutions, software, or it could be a simple consulting to them. Within the consults, ICRA, CRISIL, and CARE, they are the rating agencies, and all of them have the kind of this consulting wing. Say, we are ICRA Analytics Limited, we are 100% subsidiary to ICRA Limited, and we are building all this kind of risk management software and solutions for the market for last 18 plus years. So as CRISIL and also CARE. Deloitte, Ernst & Young, KPMG you have heard about. So they are also building their consultants in this risk management domain. They are also building solutions. So there is a huge job prospect. And if you search by the name risk management firms in India who are hiring, you'll also get this kind of many names. So I've just, this is just to name a few. Most importantly, for banks and NBFCs, there is something called a risk management department or RMD simply. In NBFCs, they also exist. NBFCs, non-banking financial corporations. Now, this particular risk management department, they are usually stationed at the headquarters or maybe in a separate office, and they do not sit at the branch office. We work for mostly this risk management department, understand their need, and this risk management department, they monitor or control the entire happening of the lending part of it from any bank through some software or a solutions. So they usually stationed at headquarters, and all the branch offices, they are having that software. Say if you approach, say simply Old Court House Street branch, or simply say Lake Road branch, or any bank, they take your data, they make all those things happen, they parse it through a simple software, and through this kind of whether you will be given a loan or you may not be given a loan, that is decided. So this risk management department, they are a very good recruiter for this this risk management also, who are using analytics. Fintechs now, say the lending card or the credit watch, they are, just to name a few, they are also building solutions and software in this risk management domain. So you could definitely, these are a few very good recruiters in this particular risk management domain that I wanted to discuss about. Slowly moving on, so what is the role of analytics? We are talking about, say, business analytics in many sense, but let's just take a touch base, the kind of what exactly we're doing. Now, what is a risk model? As I've already talked, there is a software. And that software, business analytics, by definition, it means that you have a vintage data, historical data, say 10 years of data for large corporates, simple companies. Their profit and loss account and balance sheet data, that's a huge data. And there are data providers as well, say Capital Line, say Proof 42, Bloomberg. They also provide this kind of data. You have that data. Just to make a trend, simple probability of default model, which will be the base or foundation to this risk management software. Now, the role of any analytics person, a person with a analytics knowledge or domain, their part comes from data collection to the model building. As Professor Business rightly mentioned, that it starts from the data collection. You collect the data. First, you understand the need of making a risk model. You collect the data. It could be a very huge data. Then you cleanse the data. Just making, say, simple a histogram or something, making a range, and you just put off the kind of blanks, null values, etc. from the data to make a very clean data. Then run some kind of regression into that. And there are dependent variables and independent variables. Here what happens, the objective of making this risk management software is to separate good from the bad. That is, whoever has defaulted and who is going to default. And there are good customers as well. If we think is as a binary, that is a 1, that is a default, and 0, that's a non-default or performing. So that is the dependent variable. Now the independent variables are nothing but a few ratios, many ratios, say 40 ratios. They come as you collect that data to make and find the relationship between what particular ratio is basically influencing the default to happen. And that comes through a logistic regression or maybe some kind of bootstrapping or calibration. And that's the kind of model building, the PD model building or the probability of model building that comes into existence. The software that is used here, mostly SQL for data collection, Python, yes, for data collection, R is hugely used because if they do not have the kind of MATLAB or they do not have the license of say SAS, So R is a very, very powerful software that can be used to build a model. And that particular model, how it works, like say, if you build a model using Python for the data collection and partially Python and R to make a particular algorithm, which is nothing but a kind of equation, and the selected ratios, if you put the data of a new customer into that, it will give some kind of score and some kind of rating cohorts. This cohort is nothing but a rating 1 to 10, 1 being the best and 10 being the worst. So the role of any person with analytics knowledge that comes through the model building and obviously the data collection part. After the model is built through some Excel or something, that model has to make some kind of platform. Then comes the kind of the role of IT team. So in our ICRA Analytics Limited also, we have a model domain team, which is a conglomerate of business person, statistical person, purely statistical person, and then the persons who comes from this kind of institute. So say, I'm just taking a name, that's a National Institute of Banking and Management, NIBM, which is from Pune. So they are also very equipped, the kind of guys. Say my academics, what I have done, I am a mathematics honors. I did in BSc, and then I did chartered accountancy. After that, I have started my career in this organization, and in between, I went to Praxis Business School to make a business analytics course. So this kind of knowledge that helped a lot to build a kind of all kind of domain knowledge, which will be very beneficial for my organization and for my clients also. Because it's not only to make very big solutions or equations, but to explain that to the client, that becomes a very big challenge. I will just cover it up in the next slide. For the paucity of time, I'll just try to make it very short, and please feel free to ask me questions if you have, or maybe at the end of the session, you can have that. Another kind of risk management solution or platform, that is the expected credit loss computation. And that's a very big thing that is going to happen. There is something, it's a regulatory kind of IND AS 109. That's an accounting standard. And it has already been applicable to the larger NBFCs. And it is going to be happen for the banks also, where the credit loss that is going to happen in future, a provision has to be taken now. That is, we are standing at point T, and what is going to be what T+1, T+2, that provision has to be make now. And the data which is in the back end, that is the portfolio data. Say a particular NBFC is giving a loan to say automobile customers. So the portfolio that becomes the automobile portfolio, and all the customer data that is there, the transactional data, say for last 4, 5, 6 years, a PD model has to be built. According to the LGD, the loss given default model has to be built, and finally comes the kind of ECL, and that entire thing is being now adhered to this in AS 109, and that is IFRS 9 in global standard as well. I must say that for this ECL calculation, the team that I have, they are doing heavily, dependent on this regression. Python and R, both of them are coming into existence to make the data mining and make these PD models. Vasi-check model is something which also comes into existence. That's a very, which is facilitating the entire calculation, and the PD and LGD calculation that is also coming into picture for this. So data mining is there, and predictive modeling and use of external factors, say the up and down of GDP in every quarter, that also takes into consideration, and that comes through a Vasi-check model to make as an external influencer in the entire PD modeling. So that's the kind of ECL calculation that is, and trust my word, within next 2, 3, 4 years, we'll see a huge boom into this ECL calculation as well. Now, the question of why I'm discussing this kind of risk management and the ECL computation, because for a person from your institute, they have to be equipped not only with the analytics data, but the kind of business knowledge, at least the basic to the midterm business knowledge that has to be there to make it very meaningful. So what happens for our organization, if we employ a certain people, you hire a certain people. Say I have many MSc statistics in my team who are doing this particular calculation, and also from Praxis Business School, we have a few colleagues from there also. So what they're doing, they have learned the business part of it, because ultimately what happens, client is paying us to know. Now, if I explain complex statistical model to them, they won't understand. They simply say, I am paying you money. Whatever you are giving as an output, as a table, as a kind of report, explain it to me. Now, those folks who have joined us from different statistical background, slowly they have learned this business part of it. So a basic finance, if you can collaborate with some institution, or maybe definitely it's a kind of your management decision. So this kind of business knowledge, if they come through, or simply whatever is taught in MBA courses, so that will be very helpful for this kind of job prospects. So, and now comes the data analytics. So for any software, any solution, any platform, dashboard, portfolio analytics, this MIS to the senior management and data mining, they become very, very integral part of it. Now, so I'm just talking about a very recent assignment that we have done from one of the very biggest, gold loan providers in South India. So what we have done, our team extensively worked to make the portfolio analytics. Say whatever their hubs are, they are more prominent in South India, not in North India. So if they are entering market in North India, what happens? What is the default? What is the kind of, in different presentations? And we have heavily used Tableau and also R, also to some extent, there's some other JSON charts also we have used. Whenever we presented this to the senior management, you know what they talked? Apne ko to sab pata hai. We know everything. Give us something new. Here comes that gap. So if someone understand that, yes, I know this software, I know how to interpret it, I know how to represent it, everything just goes into vain when you sit in front of the board of directors. They just throw it out, Then you have to think it separately to make it how we can make it much more meaningful, which they do not know. Then comes the kind of expectation of what the business users are wanting. What we are thinking, that is not important. What they are thinking, that is important. You have to grab it, what exactly they are thinking. Now, again, a question which Professor Biswas has mentioned. So this, I beg to disagree to a certain extent, because we are facing heavy challenge for domestic market, lack of data. We do not have much data for making our risk management solutions or softwares. Whatever data that is there, there is very, very unstructured and it's full of errors. Whatever data, I mean, we have subscribed to many of the big financial data providers, but sorry to say, most of the data, when it comes for a statistical modeling, it does not be a very good fit for a good model. So definitely, I can envisage that within the next few years, definitely our data will be very, very strong, the source of data. There comes for some model building where we have to make subjective decisions, and those are not data-driven decisions. Here comes the way, if a person with full business analytics knowledge, if he or she is lacking a business knowledge, the finance part of it, there comes a gap. Most of the cases, classical statistical modelings are used. Simple regression. I mean, if you're thinking about a machine learning will definitely be a part. But first of all, in India, I'm just talking about in India now. And what is the client expectation? If you're going to tell them that this is a kind of formula that I have built and this is equipped with, this is backed with this, they simply throw that out. You have to, I mean, it's a kind of empathy. You have to put yourself into their shoes to make them understand. But yes, there's a ray of hope. Say for this, classic vintage data that we're using for any risk model building, the financial data of customers, large corporates, emerging corporates, use of this alternate data, simply say a kind of text mining data, or it's a kind of simply whether he or she has submitted his GST return. Those data are now being mixed with the kind of vintage data to make it meaningful. So yes, there is hope. I mean, it's not an end. So if I'm coming to my conclusion, so say for the business clients, Indian clients, domestic clients in risk management domain, we have to make a story. If we tell them flowchart, there will be no further assignment that is coming to you. Trust my word. Even if you're building any analytics formula, simple formula, analytics model, you have to face an IT team. An IT team is very stubborn to some extent to build a software. You have to bridge that particular gap. You have to learn a finance or business to add finesse to an analytics skills. So not being a programmer, but being an analyst. And obviously, if someone is called, say, there is a big kind of, it could happen to any very new person who is coming to the analytics world or maybe joining an organization. If he or she is asked to make a simple data entry as a part of his or her job, it's a very big shocker to him or her. I understand, because they have learned many things, they have learned many languages, and if they're asked into their first day of job, say you just make some voucher entry, that comes as a shocker. But yes, trust me, this happens in our job arena. Again, just to give a many example of why I have talked about this, be an analyst but not a programmer. So if we pick up a few ratios which are very important ratios for any risk model, simple ratios, profitability ratios, liquidity ratios, leverage, financial ratios, simple size. So if you think of any profitability ratio, so what is our general concept? That is, profitable firms are less likely to default. More liquid firms are less likely to default. You're just making a connection between the ratio and the default. These are the general terms. But how do you make analytics to explain it to your client? You just take all ratios together. They are independent variables. Dependent variable is the default data, which is nothing but 1 and 0. So you make histograms and descriptives in your arena to explain and understand these ratios. Simple, their correlation maybe. Now, this is the explanation to the client. Is the ratio distributed as one would expect? If someone says, "Arey, mera company ka to last 5 years se profit hoye ja raha hai," but it's his concept. You are trying to explain through your data, but in his language. So it is a mix. This particular slide is a mix of what is client expectation, what you have to find, because again, you are stick to your domain, what you have learned, what a student from Calcutta Business School or any other business school, they have learned in business analytics. They knows these equipments. They know how a case test or simple t-test or Wilcoxon rank sum test that they tell. But what it tells, that you have to convert, you have to calibrate that to the client need. So say simple for this measure, how to relate ratios with one another. You are just doing a Spearman rank correlation. But if you say a client that I have done Spearman rank correlation and this is the output, they are not going to accept. They're just not going to buy this. So learn the language. You have those equipments, like understanding the statistical part of it. You have the data, make use of it. And definitely for all the students who are attending today's session, and also my suggestion or my experience from the industry behavior for last 17 years, that's what I've learned. And obviously best of luck to all future endeavors for all the students. And with this, I come to my end of my slides, and I'll be very happy to take if there is any question or from faculty or for the students as well. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Das. And Mr. Das's lecture has pointed out few important things, that only analytics knowledge is not sufficient. You have to have a backup business knowledge or domain knowledge. And he also talked about that the non-availability of plenty of information in particular area like risk management or financial risk management. And we are very fortunate and privileged to have none other than Professor Arnab Laha, who is representing a leading business school in the country, ranking very high in QS. And also, I personally know him in the sense that he is an expert in the domain of small sample. I mean, how to utilize the small data to get greater inference of the data and how to utilize the test. So I personally know he is an expert in that field. And he is also an expert in the field of utilizing unstructured data to tell a story. So before I ask questions to sir, I'm a very admirer of sir's work. I have seen many work, though I have understood very little. I have no hesitation in saying, but I have the fortune to listen to him in the last IIPQR conference in 2020 in Kolkata. So I learned a lot, sir. So before I start questioning, sir, I request Ms. Pal to give a formal, felicitation to sir, virtual felicitation and profiling, sir.
Welcome to our session, sir. So, sir is our second panelist. Professor Laha is presently a professor in production and quantitative methods area in Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. He obtained his PhD, MStat and BStat from Indian Statistical Institute. He also holds an MBA from Indira Gandhi National Open University. He takes a keen interest in understanding how analytics, machine learning, and artificial intelligence can be leveraged to solve complex problems of business and society. His areas of research and teaching interest include advanced data analytics, quality management, and risk modeling. He has published more than 25 papers in peer-reviewed national and international journals of repute. He has been named as one of the 10 most prominent analytics academicians in India by Analytics India magazine. He had also been amongst India's best business school professors by Business Today and Business India. He is the author of the popular book on analytics, How to Make the Right Decisions, and Advances in Analytics and Applications. He is currently an associate editor of Statistical Analysis and Data Mining, the ASA Data Science Journal. Professor Laha takes active interest and has been a distinguished researcher in the areas like statistical process control, change point problems, analysis of directional data, robust statistics, analysis of ranked data, functional data analysis, commodities, market models, data analytics in marketing, branching processes with applications. He has presented his expert talks in many reputed international conferences in India and abroad, and holds the credit as an author of several teaching cases. Professor Laha is currently a member of Governing Council of Insurance Information Bureau of India and is also a member of the FCCI Healthcare Committee and GEM Analytics Committee. He has conducted a large number of training programs and undertaking consultancy work in the fields of business analytics, quality management, and risk management for organizations such as Genpact, LIC, Cummins India, L&T, SR Group, Indian Oil, Lupin, Zydus, and Tata Power, to name a few. Welcome to the session, sir.
So it's our, as I said, it's our fortune to have two panelists from two domains. My job, being a learner, is to integrate the perspective of business, that organizations, corporates, and the perspective of a person who is preparing the students to take up the corporate challenge. So I asked the question to Mr. Das, and he answered very beautifully that what does it mean actually the business analytics. So we have listened that perspective of a corporate decision maker and a practitioner. And now I ask the same question to start with Professor Laha, that we all know business analytics, but my personal hunch is that we are really not educated. Most of us are not really educated that what does business analytics mean actually? What is business analytics and how does it help in taking effective decisions? So this is my first question to you, sir.
So I have unfortunately not heard Mr. Das on that. So I don't know what he answered, and I hope that I was not contradicting him. So first of all, I begin by telling that business analytics is not a new subject. It has been there for about 110 years or so. So, and you will say how? The pioneer in modern management, Frederick Taylor, introduced a set of methods known as work measurement and time measurement way back in the early 1900s. I don't remember the exact year, but somewhere around 1920s. Now, that was the beginning of application of analytical techniques in the domain of management. So therefore, we were using analytics ever since. So it's in that sense not a new subject at all. So if you ask me that what business analytics is, in my mind, is the use of a set of analytical tools and techniques to solve business problems and bring value to the business. I think the last part of the sentence is very important, bringing value to the business. And the value to the business was realized even in the early years. We have seen after the preaching of Dr. Deming in Japan, Japan underwent a massive transformation in quality, which was largely aided by use of analytical techniques in business. We saw the rise of behemoths today, which are in Calcutta roads all the time, the Toyotas and the Hondas, Mitsubishi, and lots of these companies, Sony, adopted statistical process control and statistical quality control to completely transform their businesses using analytical techniques. And subsequently, it was taken up in the United States in the form of what is now known as Six Sigma. So Six Sigma quality movement was a data-based quality initiative, which used a large amount of analytical techniques in delivering business value. And parallel to this growing influence of analytical techniques in business, there was this fascinating revolution that was happening in IT. And IT by 1980s became a big enabler of use of rather computationally intensive statistical methods in business contexts. And this current high-paced revolution that we are going through started around early 1990s. So it's about 30 years that this current fascinating progress has been noticed. And during this time, the progress has been phenomenal. And I must say that whatever we could dream in ISI as a student got realized by the time, maybe within 2015. So that was something that was an amazing achievement. And we are continuing on that path. And I think the businesses are realizing great value out of it. And therefore, the use of analytical techniques in business will continue to grow in the coming years.
Yes, sir. So, noting these things, my next question is that it is most often students ask the questions when we are basically counseling them that, sir, I am very much interested towards analytics, but I do not have either science or engineering or some sort of statistical and mathematical background. So am I a fit person to pursue my dream or career in the domain of analytics?
Very difficult question, actually. I think it will greatly depend on the person's aptitude. You may not have studied engineering or science or mathematics, but you may have an aptitude for it. Okay? So you may not have studied it, but you have an aptitude for it. Having an aptitude is important. Okay? So ultimately, you will be looking at a lot of numbers. You may not be producing those numbers, but you will be looking at those numbers. Producing the numbers may not be that hard a task because there are now extremely sophisticated packages, as Mr. Das was mentioning. R is particularly fun, excellent. There are so many wonderful toolkits in Python which can be utilized to do this analysis. Things like scikit-learn or and there are various versions, TensorFlow and so on, which can be used for these kind of activities, and you can get those numbers. But the point is not to get overwhelmed by those numbers, but use it to make effective decisions. And for that, understanding of the underlying method is important. So when you are looking at a neural network output, it is not enough to be just looking at it as if you are a stranger to it, but to be able to look at it and then take a business decision, you need to understand how that output came. You may not know the nitty-gritties for that, but at least a broad understanding of what went in and what came out. You may not know the details of things like backpropagation and the variety of other things, I'm not mentioning them, which are related to neural network modeling. But at least you should know that what went in, what came out, and how reliable are those numbers. Okay, so that's also important. How reliable are those numbers? And then you will have to take a decision. So having an aptitude for mathematics and statistics is important. When I use the word aptitude, I don't mean the ability to compute extremely complicated integrals or computing the derivatives of extremely complicated functions that you do in class 11 and 12, but an overall understanding that what are these quantities and how do I interpret? So that is something that is innate. Most humans have it, and you should not be frightened about it. That's very important. I think if you are frightened about numbers, making a career in business analytics will be difficult. So let me be frank about it. But if you are not frightened about numbers but may not have studied it, then it is possible. It is doable.
You have said quite correctly, sir. It is all about that a person wants to be a doctor, but he is afraid of blood. I mean, he is very, very afraid of seeing the blood or handling. I mean, and he wants to be a surgeon or doctor. So it's like question like that. It's a very, very interesting and way and lucidly so explained. So now I will get back to you, sir. Before that, I have another question for Mr. Das. That of late we have seen that various edtech companies are there in the market. They have revolutionized the entire way of teaching. For example, the other day I was listening to Byju's advertisement, and that is saying that from class 3, from age 3, we have classes. So we make simulations and we make some interesting, characters, and we try to make you learn about mathematics or around other subjects. So given the rise of edtech companies, how do you think that whatever the model they are following, is it a sustainable model? And in this respect, what would be the role of business schools like Calcutta Business School or any other business school? How they collaborate or integrate with such edtech companies and the market leaders, then premier institution? What would be the model to impart the education in a sustainable way?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Professor Biswas, I would say. So the expectation, as I'm very loosely touch based on through my presentation also, say if someone is learning the kind of, also Professor Laha has also mentioned the same thing. So if someone is learning the kind of mathematics or statistics, because I think those are very, very important pillars if someone wants to get into the analytics. Because as Professor Laha also rightly mentioned, it's a kind of aptitude, but you have to understand at least the basics or the fundamentals of it. And if you start early, that definitely a kind of stuff that you're already getting into your own portfolio before you come to the particular corporate life. Say if you learn what is a simulation, say my son, he is now appearing CBSE class 10th board. Now he has already been understood what is R. He's already doing the kind of Python. But say in my age, I have learned Python to some extent, obviously when I first entered into Praxis Business School. So, but before that, it was not known to me. So if you talk about the business model for this particular business schools or simply the schools, if you learn early, basis your age, your capability of assuming or absorbing that kind of knowledge into you, it is good. Definitely it's good. Because if you start early, definitely at some point of time, it would be very good to start, because it's the kind of technology, the analytics, it is evolving in so faster way. So whenever you come to that particular time, whenever you're just joining an organization, the expectation is much, much bigger from you. So if you have that, definitely it's a very good business model.
And thank you, sir, for educating us on that particular point. So Professor Laha is representing a leading business school in the country. But if I ask a question, this is not a question from the student's point of view. This is a question as a professor in the field of, a learner and a very early age professor in the field of business management, it is my questions to you that what do you think that the education system in India, particularly higher education business management, are they advantageously poised to take up the challenge of preparing business analytics professionals? If they are equipped, and if what is there to do or expectations from the business management institutions?
Actually, this is again a question which is important but sort of difficult to.
Hello, sir. I
I
think
believe
sir,
there is some network.
technical bad. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do I repeat my answer?
yes,
Yeah.
we didn't listen.
Okay.
I mean, the technical problem happened. Network problem.
Okay.
Please, sir.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that this is a question which is a little unfair to the business schools, I think, because business schools in India never thought that they will have to deal with the technology revolution. It is quite surprising that the American and the European universities in which the business schools are located already had very strong technology presence. So think of institutes like MIT, which already had a very strong technology presence in their campus, and they could quickly leverage whatever, say the Sloan School will be able to leverage whatever was being done by their computer science departments or their other mathematics or statistics departments. Similarly for Stanford and other such big institutes. In India, the business schools, primarily in the government sector and subsequently a couple of areas in management. Okay, and while operations has been taught in almost all business schools, but that focus on technology was not there. So all business schools in India will have to do some catch-up work by creating new faculty for technology-led management. What is becoming clear is that while there are many colleagues who may not agree with me, is that technology would be the dominant player in the coming years. Okay, so any business school better get ready to deal with this technology focus. I'm not saying that the soft skills will become less important or subjects like marketing or HR or OB would get obliterated. I'm not saying that. But what I will say is that the growth of technology would happen significantly in the coming years. And therefore, the business schools will have to orient themselves. And we are actually in a very exciting times with AI becoming predominant in our lives. And the kind of impact that AI would have in the next 5 years or 5 to 10 years horizon is unthinkable of. Possibly even we cannot imagine what the kind of impact it would be. And you can just think of what were the services that were available in 2015 and what are the services that are available now to get an idea that the kind of revolutionary speed in which the changes are happening. So the organizations have to get used to this change, and AI would bring many revolutionary changes. Okay? So changes that will change our way of living. So to the previous question that we have put to Mr. Das, I think there is actually a double-edged sword. So parts of the curriculum can be actually dealt with very effectively using the techniques that we have, but it is not going to be possible to impart all sorts of skills using technology. So therefore, I think it will be a judicious mix of some parts which will get automated and some parts which will continue to remain non-automated. And what we have also realized through the pandemic is that online learning is not for everyone. So it is extremely good for a group of people who have the requisite knowledge and perseverance to deal with it. And for these organizations, Coursera or some or all these platforms would provide excellent courses. And there is no doubt about the learning benefit that will happen out of that. But it will not be the same with all learners. So therefore, all business schools will have a significant clientele, even after a complete adoption of this. And the best example that I give for this, I think, is the existence of libraries. The libraries have been there for more than 2000 years. Did it educate everybody? It didn't. Okay, so anyone can say go to National Library and read any book that they want in Calcutta, such a big library. But how many people have ever visited the National Library? Honestly speaking, I also never. so therefore, existence of a tool or existence of a technology is no guarantee of its adoption. So in those parts where this adoption would happen, there will be dramatic changes. But in other parts, that adoption may not happen, or it may not be very difficult to happen. Say, for example, having or teaching through online to 5-year-old kids is going to be extremely difficult at any time because the human brain is not ready for that. But teaching higher level skills at a university level to interested students of mathematics or statistics would become possible, maybe much sooner than what we think.
Thank you, sir. So what we are listening to a very interesting discussion, not only for the takers, that is the students, but also for the givers, that is the teachers. So basically, sir has pointed out a very interesting thing. You have to know psychology behind the technology. If in a nutshell, I can say it's the psychology behind the technology that you have to understand, and you have to adapt, no other choice. But having said so, there is a difference. There is a difference in adoption level. There is a difference in context, all these things. So I would not take much of the time because it's such an interesting discussion that personally, as sir said, that some interested students, online teaching and online thing is very interesting. So for me, I am ready to pay 4-5 hours at a stretch to listen to some interesting discussion. But looking at the composition of the viewers or the things, so I would restrict to this discussion for some time. So I would end with before I take up the questions from audience, if any, though I don't feel that after such a lucid discussion, one should have many questions, but although the questions may be many, but such a lucid discussion is happening. So my question to first to Mr. Das, the same question I will ask to two of our respected panelists. Mr. Das, if a student aspires to become a professional in business analytics, quickly, what is your advice for them?
So first of all, again, to learn the business, obviously analytics, mostly the very basic part of classical statistical modeling like regression or say simply, classification techniques, etc., with a knowledge of R and definitely to basic mathematics, etc. So it would be mixed because they can definitely start and learn so many things. I mean, there is nothing stopping them for the to learn during their corporate stint also. So just for example, I also do for our organization doing 3 Coursera courses per year, that is mandatory. So even if I also do them every time, and that has to be completed by the end of March. So there is nothing to be ended, but yes, just to start over there. So these are very, very important basic stuff that you do. It's a kind of pyramid, definitely will grow.
So I take these questions to the quote of Professor Laha, that what is your advice to the students quickly in a summary form that who aspires to be a professional in business analytics?
So first thing, the word quickly always scares me. So I would be a little careful on that. So I would say that the student must decide what he or she wants to do. Okay, so does he want to become a developer, a core technical person? Does he want to be a domain expert? or does he want to be somewhere in between? Okay, so, and all these three will require different amount of time and different skill requirements. So if he wants to become a technical expert, I'm sorry, I think he will require 2-3 years time. I don't think statistics is such an easy subject to be able to pick up in a very short time. It is a whole thought process, and even if the person has a background on mathematics, it will take some time for the person to learn it, and that will be about 2 years at least, and then maybe he will spend another year learning the domain, which is very, very critical. So maybe for those persons, I will say maybe 3 years would be a good time. If you are looking at a middle role, that means you know the techniques, but you don't get into the nitty-gritties of it. You know how to run a code if required, but you don't need to sort of get into full stack development, as it is commonly called. But you also need to interpret the code for your team and for other executive team members. Then it will be a completely different path, and possibly this can be done in a year's time. If you only want to be a domain expert who interprets statistical output, and assuming that you have a good aptitude in management science, it can be faster. Okay? So it can be done in possibly about 6 to 8 months. But remember that if you try to become a domain expert in multiple areas, it would be difficult. So you have to decide which domain you want to go for. Do you want to go for logistics, or you want to go to supply chain, or you want to go to marketing, or you want to go to finance? You have to decide which area you want to go for. Learn up the domain, which I assume that you have mostly because you are possibly a management expert already. And then sort of figure out that what are the tools being used, how are they being used, how are they being interpreted? Because these people will need to interpret it, and then they will have to condense it and present before the board in their own language, as well as communicate the concerns of the senior executive to the team. So that would require some amount of knowledge on the techniques, in the sense that not hands-on, but at the level of interpretation. So therefore, maybe be able to do it faster. Maybe 6-8 months would be okay.
Thank you, sir, for these things. So we would take a few questions. Before that, I would take pleasure to show a small video, about our campus. And for the information of the viewers, that Calcutta Business School is very keen to run analytics and build the acumen of analytics among the students. So we have set up a lab on our Center of Excellence on Data Analytics. So let us have a look on our campus very quickly. So I again say that word quickly.
If excelling is your essence, then you are welcome to Calcutta Business School, Center of on Excellence.
It was the United Kingdom.
What happened? Hello.
Just a second, sir. There appears to be a glitch.
Yeah, I guess some technical problems happened. Just check once.
Institutions have continued to excel under the management of the Shikshathan Foundation.
It has been guided by industry. Mr. G.K. Khaitan, trustee and president of Shikshathan, like President Mr. S.K.
Education to Girls, founded the
Excellence.
It all started in the year 1920 when some eminent industrialists of Kolkata founded the Marwari Balika Vidyalaya. Later, in 1954, Sri Shikshathan School was founded, and in 1955, Sri Shikshathan College came into being with the objective of further propagating quality education to girls. All these institutions have continued to excel under the management of the Shikshathan Foundation.
It has been guided by industrialists like President Mr. S.K. Birla, Director Emeritus, Birla Brothers Private Limited, Mr. Siddharth Birla, Vice President, Mr. G.K. Khaitan, Trustee and President of Shikshathan College, Mr. R.S. Goenka, Trustee and MD of Imami Group, and many other reputed industrialists. The Secretary General of the Foundation is Mrs. Brotuti Bhattacharya.
Greetings. I would like to speak a few words about our institution, the Shikshathan Foundation. The year was 1920, when some of my forefathers thought that female education needed to be propagated much more actively than was the custom in those days. And we donated from our family 2 buildings in the heart of Bada Bazaar for the girl child to be educated there. That institution is still working. The latest addition to our bouquet of institutions has been the Calcutta Business School, which was started a few years ago on a 15-acre plot of land and not very far away from IIM Calcutta.
Calcutta Business School offers an AICTE approved, autonomous, 2-year full-time residential program on postgraduate diploma in management, majoring in subjects like finance, marketing, IT, operations and human resource. But it's the unique cluster of courses that sets it apart. Interactive and intuitive games like management game and stock market simulation game. It also puts heavy emphasis on data handling and business analytics and uses databases and software like CMIE Prowess, MetaStock, R and SAP.
Kolkata is the city of joy. It is the cultural capital of India, a city which has its soulful embodiment of culture, love, mystery, respect and enthusiasm. A city that upholds a perfect juxtaposition between the old world and the modern one. It has given us many Nobel laureates over the years. It has iconic institutes like the Calcutta University, the National Library, Presidency University, Bishwa Bharati, IIM Calcutta, and many such legendary institutes. Calcutta Business School's AICTE approved PGDM program is carrying forward this rich legacy of Kolkata.
Thank you. So I don't think that any questions are there in the chat box. So I give time to the listeners and viewers. Most of our viewers are listening to Facebook. So Madhusri, if there is any question from the Facebook chat, if you can read out. Is there any questions from Facebook chat?
So just give me 1 minute. I'll just check.
So just check that whether any questions are there.
No, sir, not yet any questions there.
Okay. So later on, we would take up the questions and send to the, to the advice for the sirs, because already we are 1 hour 20 minutes. And as this is the advantage as well as the disadvantage, these days, many such programs are happening and perhaps 24 hours is a very limited time. Everyone is accessible to everyone at any point in time. So we are adapting technology, sir, very quickly. So without any delay, let's try to wrap up with the summary of the today's discussion. So it is a very difficult and daunting task for me to summarize such a use and such a vast sharing of experiences and the kind of message that our respected speakers have given. So looking at the message from Mr. Das, he started with defining the decision. In the domain of program decision or non-program decisions, be it based on opinion-centric or data-centric part. And then he took us to the area of enterprise risk management, wherein a real-life application of analytical algorithms and the models are being found. And he taught us about these, what are the models and what are the areas that decisions are being taken to mitigate the risk and managing the same. Like in the credit risk, and very interestingly, he mentioned about early warning signals that is coming up in a big way these days in the enterprise risk management. He talked about the operational risk, various systematic or market risk as well. And he also have given a message to our students about the possible job opportunities in the arena of enterprise risk management and the role of analytics with a particular example of a credit risk modeling. And also he told about India AS 109 standard and how it helps and how it utilizes the advanced algorithms. But the major focus is on that know the fundamentals, know your domain, know how to apply the models, select the models which are being applied, and most importantly, take a decision based on the result obtained and use the fundamental statistical modelings and testing like regression, hypothesis testing, understanding the data, scaling. All these parameters are absolutely important. And I also do believe that fundamental knowledge is absolutely important. Whatever complex algorithm is there, but unless and until one knows the fundamental, it is very difficult to apply. And talking about this Professor Laha's talk, he took us to the way back to this Frederick Taylor's history and this contribution. We all know the father of scientific management, and he started the discussing or explaining the role or the meaning of analytics by stating the genesis of business analytics way back in early 1920s. And he emphasized on that the method, how you use the algorithms, how you apply the algorithms on the data to build models, and how do you interpret, most importantly, how do you take a call in form of an effective and timely decision. That is foremost important. And for the naive persons like me, who has no hesitation in saying that I am a learner in the field of statistics, and the persons who are not from this scientist or basic science or engineering background, a very, very thought-provoking or very thoughtful comment he made, very weighty, though it apparently looks like very simple, but it's a very weighty statement that he has made. What comes in and what comes out, and how does it add value? So in a way, he explained all the algorithms in a very simple way. I mean, what comes in, what is my input, and what is the process that is going on, and ultimately what output I am generating. I mean, whether I am meeting the desired target, whether there is an error, whether there is a bias, and how do I take a decision based on the result. So he has expressed fantastically. I mean, such a nice way to explain the complex algorithm. I don't think that I would have never been possible for me to explain the complex algorithm in such a simple manner. So that's he said. And he also said that technology and psychology, these things would be there, but psychology behind the technology is important to understand. And it is not a panacea for ill. I mean, not one size doesn't fit for all. So it is basically a learner centric, the person who is attending, but the technology adoption is a mandate today. You have to apply and you have to adopt the technology, utilize better for your work. But most importantly, you have to be having clarity in mind. Unless and until you are having clarity in mind what you exactly you want to do and how you are doing and what you are doing, I mean, that is absolutely important. And both the speakers have given their message for the young students or our upcoming who aspire to be a leader in the field, that start early, have clarity in mind, prepare well, do not get afraid of data, handling data and complex models, but know your domain, apply the models, get results, and try to interpret that in a meaningful way, most importantly, to add value to your business. And in that context, Professor Laha classified the categories of job opportunities in the field of domain knowledge expert, that application specific, developer, the model building specific, and somewhat in between. I mean, who has some knowledge in model building and has some knowledge in the domain area. So thank you so much, our learned panelists. I tried my level best to summarize what you have said, but it's very difficult to summarize in such a short way to the way you have spoken. I personally learned a lot from these, these deliberations. And as I said, that Calcutta Business School is always established a dedicated center of excellence in data analytics. And we have been practicing it quite some time. And now we are practicing it in a structured way, forming a data science analytics center of excellence. And also we have introduced two dedicated courses, one at undergraduate level, one at postgraduate level on the analytics per se. And also we have been organizing such kind of panel discussions on contemporary issues and topics. And as we all know that the market is slowly opening up and we are slowly coming out of the strangle of COVID-19. So it would be our pleasure and honor to have both of you on our campus to address physically, because Professor Laha said, nothing is there who can replace the library. I mean, technology is not fit for all type of things. So trust me, sir, I personally like to have face-to-face discussion. So that I enjoy a lot, though I have attended so many lectures online because no way out is there. But personally, I feel much comfortable in physical setting. So I think that many of us are feeling in the same way. So it would be our pleasure and honor to greet both of you on our campus. And for sure, we are going to bother you time and again to educate the students like us. So thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much, Professor Vishwas.
Thank
It's
you
a great
so
pleasure
much.
for me to listen to Sir Laha also. Thank you very much, sir. It's very, very informative for me.
I wish all the students of this fusion discipline of statistics, computing, and business management all the best in the coming years.
Thank you so much, sir. Take care, stay well, and always educate us with your expert deliberation. Thank you, Professor Laha. Thank you, Mr. Das.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All the best.